Where is he? You guys seen him? Oh,
Hey,
here he is.
Puffy blue coat on.
I got a puffy on. I was feeling pretty casual this morning.
Puffy blue coat and a puppy.
Yeah,
You had a dog.
that was a good-looking dog, man. That was a good-looking dog.
That your dog?
You don't know, but Jesse, you used to love dogs, and something's changed ever since you got rid of Jack. You're not a dog guy anymore. What happened?
Well, it's not that I'm not a dog guy. It's that I still have guilt.
Really?
I do.
Man.
What is it? 3 years later, I'm still
man.
traumatized that I let my dog go.
Wow.
What happened?
We were I'm gone 12 hours a day. We like 2 weekends a month. We're gone for 3 days. So it just wasn't the best life for him.
So you had to let him go.
I did the right thing, but it doesn't make it easy. So I think I'm still recuperating. I don't know if I'll ever let that go.
Yeah, I feel bad because I was like, man, is he no longer a dog guy? I don't know. I know. It's yeah, you know what I mean. It is what it is. Hey, we're going to talk about something today.
Cool.
If I introduce something to you just over and over and over and over and over, like say a new food that you formerly hated, but if I introduce it to you long enough, will your tastes change?
Probably become tolerant, and after a while, I get tired of fighting it and go, all right, and we'll have that.
Yeah.
Although I have to say, my daughter hates scrambled eggs, and I have not got over and over. I've tried. So
You don't think that's going to change?
no, I don't. She's pretty stuck. She's pretty stubborn.
Now, of course, we're not running a nutrition show this morning, but we are going to talk today about something very fascinating, which is the question: are St. George home prices changing home buyers' tastes? Right? Are they actually changing? And we're going to answer that. We're going to jump into it. We're going to talk about a trend that I'm seeing all over. Jesse's seeing this, where I'm seeing it all over northern Utah. It's pretty fascinating to me. And here's the teaser. I think tastes are changing, and we'll talk about that. And look at what housing was 50 years ago compared to what it was in the especially early 2000s in St. George. And there's a trend that people won't even notice. It is so subtle. Like we're just so busy that you don't even notice that there's almost a change in what's happening. Anyway, pretty fascinating. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So, okay, all right, a couple of things coming up. Is Economic Summit, when is that coming up?
It's right now.
Right, like today, right?
Today.
Okay, I thought it was next week. I was going to tell people, check it out. I haven't been for a few years. I got to be real. I get nothing. But it's a cool event. The problem is we go in and they have a real estate presentation, and guess what the presentation is?
That's
what we do every day. That's what we do on our show. So Economic Summit's going on today. What I'm looking for always is I'm looking for the highlights after, because it always gives us some great stuff for the show. Like what are the big businesses coming to town?
I think we've got to consider the fact that you get nothing is you're pretty up to date with what's going on here.
And that may be it. That may be it, right? Because we're doing this, I guess, like
and your surroundings, like you're around people that know things that.
Well, for instance, one of their keynote speakers is Vardell Curtis.
I know. I'm like,
I know you know Vardell very well, and you talk to him all the time.
He's on a first-name basis.
Yeah, we're just hanging out. Well, yeah, it is what it is. I'll be interested to see what some of the highlights are. Who the major employers are that are coming to town. I hope there's major employers coming to town, and just like major trends here in Washington County. Good morning.
One other thing before you get going, the lunchtime today at the Economic Summit is introduce 5 top gubernatorial candidates will be there, including John Huntsman, Spencer Cox, and others. So that's gonna be kind of fun if you're going to sit there for lunch.
Gubernatorial.
Yeah.
Gubernatorial.
5 times fast.
Nail that down. Hey, good morning, guys. If you're Facebook Living, watching us on Facebook Live, facebook.com/Jeremy Larkin, give us a thumbs up. Let us know that you're there.
You can also watch it on YouTube Live.
Yeah, you can see it on YouTube Live, which I don't know.
Go St. George TV.
Yeah, youtube.com/Go St. George TV. We really mainly put the show there for our radio listeners because we need the file on YouTube anyway. So we record it here live and we go from there. But it is 2020, and I know it's 2020 because last night the kids were playing Fortnite and that blasted game. It's so fascinating that I just sat and watched. I was just hanging out with my 2 boys, watching Fortnite. And have you ever seen the game?
I have.
So you know when you guy dies and then he comes back into the scene, they parachute in.
Yeah.
And the parachute, the top of the parachute, you'd hear the sound of fireworks and streamers and that kind of stuff going off, and the parachute would light up with fireworks and say 2020 on it, like New Year's. So I realize that someone out there is programming. I mean, they must have programmers all day long who are just adding fun. There's Christmas
So
lights
that's
on
an
some of the
online
trees.
game.
Yeah, kind of.
I've never.
Yes, yeah. So
Yeah,
Fortnite is the biggest thing is literally probably the biggest raging video game, Xbox, everything else ever.
This
in
is the
history.
time where I should
In-
just be quiet. So
yeah, in
people
the
don't
history.
Know how disconnected I
Oh,
really am.
dude, you're so disconnected. It's not even funny.
It's
But
true.
it is literally it's prolific. I've never seen anything like it. I can't imagine. It's an online game developed by Epic Games, and it is pretty funny to watch. I still don't play it, but it's 2020, and it just made me laugh because they were even pitching the New Year's celebration in the game last night. And yeah, there's a lot going on in the planet, right? We're talking about an election year. We're talking about bombs going off in the Middle East again, but kind of always. We've had nearly 10 years of economic growth, nearly 10 years of real estate growth in Washington County. Housing's been booming, and we're going to talk about this momentarily, about my drive to Tonic Wind Intermediate School with my son, and what I saw and what I see when I am out and about in the community. And I don't mean, by the way, Andy, showing homes to buyers. I mean more like what you get when you just drive around and you just keep your eyes peeled and start paying attention to stuff. You go, it just looks like they were starting to build these townhomes, but now there's 100 of them. How did that happen? And a lot of this is like wallpaper for us, isn't it? Yeah, I just drive by it every day. I'm not paying any attention. I had no idea it was there. So there's a lot happening in the real estate market. So let's nail this down, Jesse. Do we think that that housing prices going up change people's buyers' tastes? Like literally, like over time. And I want to clarify this. Tastes, meaning over time they start saying, well, maybe I am okay with smaller, bigger, different kind of home.
Yes and no. I think that it's deeper than that. I beg the question is, are we attracting different people as we grow? Because you go to a place like New York City, and they don't want a big house. They don't want to get married when they're young. They just have a different mental
It's
attitude,
completely
right?
cultural, isn't it?
So are we just, as we grow, attracting a new mindset? Now, granted, some of it could be the prices of homes, but is that all of it?
Yeah, I like that. That's a nice job.
I dreamt about that
This
last
guy's
night.
Jesse Paul.
Bring it.
Yeah, Jesse Paul's one of my just favorite people on the planet, my business partner, and works with tons and tons of our seller clients and some of our buyer clients as well. So he's here in the studio, and he makes a great point. If I go to New York City, I really like that. New York City, not state.
Well,
Right,
in
like
any,
people
in
don't-
any city, really.
Yeah, so their tastes have even been affected. Meaning, you mean all I can get is it's funny, like if you speak to someone, my niece has been out there for a decade, and it's so normal for her to be in a 700 square foot apartment that costs $2,500 a month.
Yeah.
She doesn't think about it, but when she comes out here, what do you think everyone says at the family dinners? 700 feet? A studio? How can things be that expensive?
Can you even turn the corner?
Yeah, how can you live like that?
Yeah.
Because, but see, again, the entire taste change. So here's what's happened. Home prices are up right now. This is realistic. Since 2012 in Washington County, the average home value, right, up almost $150,000
Yeah, it's a lot.
on average. If you average out the county, yeah.
Back to your question about do our tastes change, and I think they have to, don't they? They have
Yes.
Wait, and that's why it's more than our taste. It's what is acceptable just slowly, gradually changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when we gain weight. Our taste doesn't change. Just slowly, we don't realize it's happening. Next thing you know, I look and oh, hello,
My pants don't fit.
it's
Yeah.
Fat Boy over here. So
Fluffy.
is that the same? Right? I think it is. It happens so subtly that the taste didn't change. Our acceptability, acceptable
Acceptance, maybe.
acceptance level just gradually gets
So, yeah.
better.
So home values are up $150,000 on average since 2012
a
in
lot.
Washington County. And so if you look back 50 years, especially people like my parents, our parents in this room, right? What did they do?
You put me in the same age category as you. Thank
Well,
you.
you're at least in range, man.
A little
There you
older,
go.
but yeah, it's close.
I get it. But what kind of homes did they start out in and build when they were young?
Little teeny house
A
to start
little
with.
tiny
yeah.
box.
So,
And it's all they could do, and everybody thought it was completely okay.
mhm.
Now, does anyone remember 2005, 6, especially in Washington County, especially in growing Little Valley and Washington Fields? What was everybody now building? 4,500 feet,
Huge home.
6 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, walkout basement, 3-car garage. And everybody was convinced that they would not be happy without that.
Mm.
Now, lest you say, well, they're still building, they are, but something's happening.
That's not all they're building.
That's not all they're building.
Well, and we found that we absolutely better start building something else
Or we're in
because
trouble.
Or we're gonna know where to live. right?
we have a lot of people coming from out of state and all that, and a lot of people that can't afford those homes, but there's a major part of our population that can't.
Yeah.
The locals that live here, that work here, that can't afford that home out there. And for a while, we didn't have anything for them.
No question, right? We didn't. And so when values go up 150 grand and wages didn't go up correspondingly,
Yeah.
what's happened is people can no longer afford, in general, what they used to be able to afford. And now, this is kind of fascinating. And we're going to talk about a project. So everyone listening, if you want to hear about the newest, we're going to sell these so fast, the rest of my remaining hair is going to fall out of my head. Yeah, you got to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
A project called Desert Flower, but hang on the air with us for just a minute. We're talking about this.
That's
You
gonna be a
can
cool
check out Desert Flower. The teaser is you can visit mysunwoodhomes.com to check it out. So here's what's happening now. All of the sudden, we start going, well, 10 years ago, I could buy a Hidden Valley townhome. Let's talk about Hidden Valley townhomes for a minute. For $85,000 on a foreclosure sale. Today, a Hidden Valley townhome, I'm closing one in the next 5 days for one of my clients, the Talbots. Thank you, folks. 198. So it went from 85, a townhome,
Yeah.
to 198.
2.5 times the price.
Right. So here's what happens. All of a sudden, when just kind of categorically the whole town has become quite expensive, what we're seeing is a massive boom of townhomes going up. Huge. So the project that I was referencing is I go to Tonquin Intermediate School. One of my boys goes there. There's a project called Blackhawk Townhomes. Jesse's familiar. Well, shoot, 12 months ago, I remember 12 months ago when I was taking him to school last winter. The first, they're pouring the footings, they're pouring the foundation, the first building went up, a little fourplex. I went winding around there this morning, dropping him off for school. There's got to be 100 units.
Really?
Oh, easily 100. There's at least, maybe there's 80. There may be 80 units. They've sold them as fast as they can build them. They've sold them faster than they can build them. Go downtown, you have these 2 apartment buildings. They've filled City View, the first phase. They will fill Jewel Plaza, 197 units in one building, 150 units in the other building. But geez, guys, rents it. What do you mean it's $1,200 a month for rent in for a 1-bedroom in there? Well, I mean it's $1,200 a month for rent. And all of a sudden, we're like starting to have almost an urban, kind of like rejuvenation of our town, of the mindset. People are saying, well, maybe I will live downtown. Maybe I will live in a 2-bedroom or a 1-bedroom. Maybe my family and I could survive in a 1,300 square foot single family home downtown St. George. It's kind of fun to live in a cute little cottagey place, right? And I drove up north. I went to a Dave Matthews Band concert in whenever we went. Gosh, it's been a little bit now. So Kayla and I go to this concert, and we get out there on Bangor Highway, and it is like, guys, I don't mean thousands. I mean tens of thousands of townhomes.
out there,
Like
yeah.
as far as you can see, go up I-15, go through Provo, Utah County. Watch, it is townhomes. Why, Jesse, is a town? Is there a townhome boom because people suddenly just want townhomes?
No.
Townhome boom because what? Why?
That's what they can afford, number one, and number two, there's only so much space. At some point, you have to start thinking about what space do we have left and how do we fit as many homes as possible in that space.
Amen, man.
You look at the St. George City map, and there's very little
This isn't like
buildable space left.
You know, I said early 2000s. Go back 20 years. Little Valley, that was new. But my uncle had, and Andy, I want to hear you, had a farm growing up 2450 South. You know, in Little Valley. Uncle Gray Larkin, rest his soul. They had the farm, and this is Darren and Danielle. Danielle, the new city council woman. Yeah, so her father-in-law, they had this farm. We would go out to Uncle Gray's farm. What are you talking about? It's like 700,000 homes, right? So go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I like how you tied it all together and talk about that changing taste, because I would submit, and this is maybe what you're saying, a lot of those people that want a townhome now, 10 years ago said, I'd never buy a townhome. 5 years ago, you
So,
I'll never survive in a 3-bed, 2.5 bath with a carport. What do you got, Jesse? Give it to us.
Trevor Eaton on Facebook right now, he says, absolutely, we've been looking at new homes, and my wife said, no way are we buying one of these types of houses. They put a little siding on it, and she's completely changed her mind. So,
Is that cool, Trevor? Thanks for playing this morning, man.
thanks, buddy.
It really it's actually changing tastes, because what we said we would be okay with before, or what we said we would absolutely not be okay with. There's a self-help personal development lady I like, Byron Katie. I'm talking about her. It's a book I'm loving what is. And what she does is she works with people who say lots of nevers. Nevers only always is lots of absolutes. And
Until the story changes.
yeah,
Or our story changes.
yeah, until we find out that maybe what we thought we weren't okay with, especially in relationship, maybe, right? I had this idea, no way, never, only, always. And so see how this applies over to housing? I'll never live in a townhome. I'll never live in a condo. I could never survive having a home that didn't have a 3-car garage and 1/3 of an acre and 6,000 square feet. I'm spinning all over the place. And 2 giant living rooms.
Our American dream, we lived in apartments when we were newlyweds, like most newlyweds do. Our American dream was to buy a smaller house, then get a bigger house, and then get a bigger house. And that's exactly what you're talking about, because at this point in our lives, we're never going to buy a townhome now, and yet tastes are changing, and maybe we will.
Well, and you have an influx of folks coming in.
I want to buy a duplex or 4-plex.
Yeah, me too. We have a massive influx of people that, and Jesse, you know this so well, who are coming to St. George, and they're coming from out of state, and they are 50 plus. You take our Brookwood community, by the way, our show is actually sponsored by our friends at Sunwood Homes. So Brookwood's a great community. It's out next to Brio. Look at Brookwood Brio. You don't see 5,000 square foot homes out there.
No. The largest one is 3,300.
And that's a walkout basement.
Walkout basement.
By and large, the average home in these areas is like 2,000 feet.
2,000, 2,200.
Yeah, maybe 2,000 feet. And here's the crazy part. That's what they want. Well, they're all downsizing. Yes, but again, our community and our tastes are made up of the sum of the parts. So you have a lot of people moving in from other places who are like, well, I don't need a giant house. I lived in Southern California. I didn't have a giant house. As a matter of fact, I'm so tired of my giant house that I did have, if they had one. I can't think straight. So Jesse, we had all these townhomes this last year. What could someone buy today? What can, and I'm pulling this up as well.
Okay, so as far as a townhome?
Yeah, if somebody said, I want to buy a townhome in Greater St. George, Hurricane Valley, let's tell people what they could actually get. What we got for time, Andy? 4 minutes?
4 minutes.
Perfect. What could people buy, right? So should I throw out a couple examples and you can throw some in? So Entz Brothers, our friends over at Entz Homes, they've got a project in downtown Ivans called Toscano. Yeah, I know it makes you think you're in Tuscany, but it's just Ivans.
Okay.
So anyway, Toscano. Yeah, you should go over and have some, dinner with the family. So 2,028 square feet. It's a 2-story. Almost all these townhomes. If they want to get, because remember, we got to put all the space, all the living space we can into the smallest footprint, right? So we go up, if we can. We're going to go up vertically. 2,028 square feet, built in 2018. These puppies are 4 bedrooms, 3.5 bathrooms, 285. Now here's the interesting thing. My former home, right, living as a family with 4 kids, was like 2,600 square feet, 4 beds, 3 baths. So what they've done is they've taken what was 2-car garage. They've taken what used to have to be a 2,600 square foot home. It's now a 2,000 square foot townhome. It's still 4 beds. It's 3.5 bathrooms. You see what they've done here? This is amazing.
That's nice.
2-car garage. Well, it doesn't have much of a yard. Well, guess what? I know exactly where these are. They're on Ivans Center Street. There's a couple of massive parks, massive. Ivanstown Park, the old classic one, and massive. Like, so people don't need that yard now, right?
A lot of them don't even want to mow a lawn and things like that.
What else, Jesse?
So the ones you were just talking about, Black Hawk townhomes, you can get them right now, 1,734 square feet, 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage at $269,900.
So this crazy part, here's my point. Let me bring this in and let's talk about Desert Flower. Let's wrap this. $269,900. I built a home, a couple of them, one for $220,000 and one for $290,000, that were big homes on a 1/4 acre plus lot, single family neighborhood. Now you can only get a townhome, right? Okay, at $269,000. So understand this. I live now downtown. I love my lifestyle. 3 beds, 2 baths. It's 1,500 square feet. Old downtown, historic downtown. I love it. I love it. I love it. I'd go bigger. I would, and I would consider living rural, but I love it.
Pretty cool property.
So Jesse, Desert Flower is a project that's coming out of the ground in downtown Washington City.
Yep.
On Telegraph and over by Bella Vista. These homes start at $269,900, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2-car garage for the $269,000. They have a couple of 2,400 square foot homes that are detached, single family homes, 2,400 square feet, 4 bedrooms plus, under $350,000.
Wow.
But that under 300 single family is unheard of right now. If you want to see this, folks, I want you to visit mysunwoodhomes.com and click on the contact us link. If you click on the contact us link, you will be one of the first. We've had 84 inquiries in 3 weeks. You'll be in the first batch of folks to find out about our first phase 40 homes. So and us, the Larkin group over at Keller Williams Realty, we represent Sunwood Homes. So visit mysunwoodhomes.com. You're going to want to see Desert Flower, and if you were listening, it could be incredible for a first-time home buyer, a retiree, a downsizer. These are going to be really cool, and the location is fantastic. And when you go to mysunwoodhomes.com, they're going to like the style, aren't they?
Yeah, these are
they're cool,
Talk
man.
about urban. They are really cool.
All right, guys, let's have an amazing year. Visit mysunwoodhomes.com. Check out the Desert Flower Project. If you've got questions for us at the Larkin Group, you can always visit soldinstgeorge.com. And as I like to say on the radio ads, and start packing.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Over and out.